Welcome to the 2-Act Podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, gothjon, and who else am I speaking with?
Hello, and I'm Adi, and today we're going to be talking about The Fall Guy. The story goes as follows. The Fall Guy is a story about a down-and-out stuntman who must find the missing star of his ex-girlfriend's blockbuster film. Colt Seavers, the main protagonist of the story, springs back into action when the star of a big studio movie suddenly disappears. As the mystery surrounding the missing actor deepens, Colt soon finds himself ensnared in a sinister plot that pushes him to the edge of a fall more dangerous than any stunt. Directed by David Leitch and starring Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. Quite clearly, an ode to stunt movies, but let's start with opening thoughts. What did you think about it, John?
I really enjoyed this movie. Going into it, so I watched the trailer and I was like, oh, okay, am I even going to like this? And I was like, And then when I sat down and started to get the feel for it, like, I like John Wick, so that helps. And this guy, I think he was involved in the John Wick movies, so...
Indeed, yeah. He co-directed the first John Wick with Chad
Oh, okay.
Stahelski.
I really enjoyed that first one. It really gets me high octane. It makes me want to work out, and this movie would do the same. I liked the action in it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, quite clearly, I think the main unique thing about this film is that it is entirely a love letter to stunt people and stunt performers in films who have for generations put their lives on the line for our entertainment. And I think coming from a director who was himself a stuntman and a stunt coordinator, I believe before he started directing, he was involved in a lot of like action films. So it's great to see that a story revolving around stunt people and the Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling playing this battle scarred stuntman. What did you think of his performance? Were you
I was convinced. I never had a time in the movie where I was like completely thrown out of it and realizing, hey, I'm watching a movie. I never had a moment like that. I really liked Ryan Gosling's performance. He just got off of the Barbie movie, so he was carrying that whole movie on his back. And I think he did a really good job portraying the stuntman. I didn't ever believe that he wasn't a stuntman, and after I watched this movie, I had to go research whether or not he did at least some of his own stunts. And in fact, he did do some of his own stunts, which I was really very impressed by, because not a lot of these multi-million-dollar actors will put their life on the line unless they're Tom Cruise. And that guy's just
True.
crazy, so yeah.
That is true.
Hanging from helicopter blades, doing all sorts of crazy stuff. I read that he did that long jump in the beginning of the movie. He did that one, and then he did a couple other ones that weren't like the most dangerous. Like, he didn't do any of the setting on fire ones. He didn't do any of that. They had like 3 or 4 guys doing the stuntmans. So that was really
Yeah.
cool.
We'll get into that because there's a lot of stunts in this film, and I think that is quite impressive from a action point of view. That a lot of the story revolves around stunts, and that somehow is then juxtaposed with some real action that takes place within the storyline, and it really blurs the lines between what's on take and what's not on take. But I gotta agree with you. I really enjoyed Ryan Gosling's performance. I think he's a really charismatic actor, and I've always admired his work and his range of being able to play characters in like different genres. Like we've seen him do some really weird indie stuff with films like Half Nelson, and then going on to like Blade Runner 2049, which is a masterpiece in my opinion. and
Yeah, I really
then
like that film.
doing La La Land, getting into musicals, and then like The Place Beyond the Pines, which is again a really great underrated indie film. And yeah, it's just so great to see him, reach the stage of his career now after Barbie, where he's finally getting that acclaim of being, the main guy in a big blockbuster movie. And The Fall Guy is quite clearly, I think, a blockbuster movie, like driven for the masses, right? Like I think, like it's a rom com. It's got action. It's got heart.
It's a
It's
secret
got
rom com.
it's secretly kind of like a rom com. And to be fair, I kind of like that. I would be a bit. I don't know how I would feel about it if it wasn't, but it's great. It's great. I thought he was really funny, and it reminded me a lot of his performance in The Nice Guys, which was like the first time I watched him do comedy, and I just thought like he's a natural. Like this man needs to do more comedic performances. He's a natural talent. Like his behavior, his physicality, the way he's able to emote himself, all these like reactions and like subtle things in his demeanor really bring out humorous moments from the character. And I think he plays Colt with like a sort of understated resilience, because he's kind of like a guy who's been through some shit, and he has to come back and win the love of his life and show that he's still that guy, and I really liked his performance. And also Emily Blunt coming off hot from the success of Oppenheimer, which was again
I didn't even know she was in that.
I'm surprised you didn't. She plays Oppenheimer's wife.
Oh, okay. All right. Right on.
Yeah. Well, they were both, so Gosling and Emily Blunt were both nominated for supporting roles in the Academy Awards. So yeah, it's like perfect casting. Whoever got these guys, they were like thinking pretty on point with like the current trend, getting the hottest actors, fresh off the awards race. So let's
back
get
into another reward race.
Well, we'll talk about that, because The Fall Guy opened up to some generally mixed to positive reviews. A lot of people praising it for its stunts, a lot of people praising Gosling's performance and Emily Blunt's performance. But there are some issues with the screenplay and some bits with the direction. But let's get into it. What did you think of the story?
Okay, all right. Because we haven't said it yet, spoiler discussion for The Fall Guy. If you don't want to get spoiled, this is your warning now. All right. So, for the most part, I didn't have too many problems with the story. There were some like minor nitpicks. Something like, so I didn't really feel that. What is it? Well, I guess I did feel that the ending was earned. It did kind of, there was some pacing issues. So there's some certain times I was like at the start of the movie, I'm like, oh my God, where's the plot? Where's the plot? Where's the plot? And then it finally hits the plot, and then I'm like, oh, here's the plot. Okay. And there was like certain like scenes in the movie that I really enjoyed. And then along with this plot where it's going along and you're like, okay, all right, are we hitting all the beats? Is this a 3-act structure? Are we going through the whole rigmarole? And I really do feel like it hit all the beats. In some of like the jokes, they might not necessarily hit for everybody because everybody's humor is subjective. I personally felt a lot of the humor was up my alley. I really enjoyed, like you said, all the stunts. Halfway through the movie, I was like, oh yeah, this movie's about a stunt guy, so of course it would have a gratuitous amount of stunts. And one of the things that bothered me in the story was the metaphor that it just felt like I was getting hit over the head. So in the movie, they're also making a movie. It's called like Metal something.
Metal Storm.
Metal Storm. Yeah,
which
it's
is
pretty metal.
I guess it's like your mashup of the Dune films,
Or
Star Wars,
something.
Cowboy versus Aliens, Indiana
Sure.
Jones.
Yep. So the metaphor that they're making inside that movie is like the main love interest in Metal Storm is like having issues coming to terms with how they feel about their significant other, and it's the same thing that's going on in that movie. And it felt so you're just getting hit over that. It kind of felt like the movie was making fun of me for not being smart enough to understand these subtle hints. Like it when you go in a movie and you have one of your actors vocally dialogue what they're thinking, doesn't necessarily come across the same as if you put subtle hints, you put subtle
True,
like actions
true.
in their movements.
Exposition was a bit on the nose.
Yeah, yeah. And also the with the writing of the movie, the Fall Guy, that after all the plot twists, that kind of makes sense now why they called it that. They apparently there used to be like a older TV show that was also had the same name, but the
That
guy
is
didn't.
true. It's based on a TV show in the 80s.
Yep. Yeah, I guess like he was a bounty hunter too, but they completely dropped that. Um, I definitely did like the twist. I didn't feel like it was a giant ass pull, like it was like a M Night Shyamalan a ding dong or anything. Uh, really enjoyed that. There's that nightclub scene. I really like the style in that. That was
Yeah.
really cool.
The whole neon lit scene where
Yeah, no, that
yeah. So I mean there's to put things into perspective, it really does start off at the very beginning where he's like a successful stuntman for Tom Ryder, who's played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Emily Blunt's character is just a camera operator. And then you have that scene where he falls down and the stunt goes awfully wrong, where he's supposed to drop from the top, and he ends up almost killing himself, breaking his back. And then there's an 18-month time jump where you see him working as a valet in a restaurant eating burritos, which I thought
it was like straight up the dude. That's what he kind of looked like.
yeah, like hair grown all over, had like a snapback, bit of a goatee, shades on. And yeah, I just saw a guy who was like, it just felt like someone who had given up on life, given up on himself. And I really liked the fact that they built that up, that even though I didn't like the fact that they, like, I agree with your point about exposition and the fact that a lot of it was on the nose when it came to their relationship. But I gotta agree
that whole microphone scene, I was about to jump up and start yelling.
Yeah,
That's how over the head that was.
It
Why
was
would you
over
be
the
saying
head.
that in front of all of your coworkers?
I don't think a professional director in any situation would go to that. I mean, I guess it's personal, but still, it comes
They'd be
off as
worried about getting Me Too'd so hard that they would never have a job again.
I kind of agree. But you know what? The thing with this film is like you gotta. I completely understand that there's not a lot of logic involved with this film, and quite a lot of the plot is ridiculous. Like, because the whole premise of bringing Gosling's character back as a stuntman is because the producer, played by I believe Hannah Waddingham, who is Gail.
She was great. She was great.
Oh yeah, perfect caricature of an evil, annoying producer sipping on Diet Coke, product placement heavy. But yeah, no. The whole point of him coming back, bringing him back, was for him to be, the fall guy for this whole situation where Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, ends up killing accidentally another stuntman, and they need someone to take the fall, and that's how he gets involved. And I think.
AI part of that was so cheesy.
Oh yeah, yeah. The whole idea
I
of
forgive it
using
though.
AI as a way to frame Gosling's character, I just thought like that part did not work for me at all. Like, no one's gonna not realize that that's fake. Like, it looks so fake, like a shitty phone camera footage, and they're just gonna mask Gosling's face on, Aaron Taylor Johnson's body and expect the world to believe like that's who did it. In fact, I thought, ironically enough, it was more believable where they showed that scene in the hotel where Gosling's character sort of goes into the room and then realizes there's a dead body inside and then comes
Yep.
out and has and tries to cover
That
up
was a
his
good
face
scene.
with his jacket. I thought that
Yeah.
was more effective and way better framing him rather than the whole shtick with the cell phone and the AI. I just felt like, yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, a lot of the story does not make sense, but we can overlook that to some extent. I think the strong suit of this film is the fact that it pays homage to stunt people, to the golden age of, the good old days of cinema in the 80s, where action films were a lot more straightforward, a lot more entertaining, had a complete package, maybe, I don't know. uh it's refreshing compared to, yet another comic book adaptation nobody asked for. So
Oh, you don't want to see Madam Web? Are you telling me you don't want to see Venom 2 where they have so much goopy action going on you can't tell who's fighting?
yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, when you mention those films, I'll be happy to see The Fall Guy any day of the week, regardless of how poorly or how, lacking the story may be. But I think a lot
Yeah,
of my
no, I
issues
could
with the film.
def I could definitely show somebody this movie and not feel like they have like a whole thing into, oh, you got to watch 17 movies to understand what's going on in this one.
Yeah,
It's
no,
pretty
this
straightforward.
film is definitely a film where you could go in, watch it, have a good time, 2 good hours of your time, be entertained, and yeah, come out and you could forget about it if you wanted to. I mean, I feel like maybe the strengths of the film is not that it's too memorable, but it does deliver on the entertainment side of things. So I could totally see this being a film that comes out on cable, and you'd want to put it out midweek and watch it if you see it on, right? Like, I think in general, I appreciate how entertaining the film is. I do agree that the romance bit maybe was not really convincing at
But
times, and
it's fine. Their chemistry was really good, so
their
that made up
chemistry
for a
was good.
lot for it. A lot for it.
100%. I thought they carried, like, Blunt and Gosling carried this film, and I just couldn't help but think, like, if there were any other actors playing especially Gosling's role, I'm not sure the film would be as good as it was. So a lot of props go down to a star-studded, like, star, like, role actors who play the main protagonists. But I had my issues with the script. I don't know about you. I felt like it could have perhaps worked better if it had another rewrite. And it got me thinking, because you look at David Leitch, and he's done some big budget films, right? He's done started off with the John Wick film, went on to do I believe one of the Fast and Furious films, Hobbs and Shaw, which
Oh, the spinoff.
spin-off, which I must admit I have not watched. But he's also done some other films, like I think he did Deadpool 2, and he did Atomic Blonde, which I really enjoyed. I don't know if you've watched that film.
I've seen it. It had what's her face in it, so of course I watched it.
Charlize Theron.
Yeah, I like her.
Yeah, I thought Atomic Blonde was a lot more. Yeah, he did Bullet Train as well. By the way, I don't know if
I've never seen that.
you've not seen it. All right, Bullet Train, starring Brad Pitt. Another movie, another where he's kind of along the same vibes of the Fall Guy, a bit more violent, but got the action, got the comedy. But I feel like David Leitch, I don't know. I think he's working with a big budget, but I'm not sure narratively like it's the most strongest film. Like I had some issues with the way some of the stunts were directed, and I think the stunts were great. I really love the fact that there's a lot of effort put into those to show us scenes like when he does the car rolls, and like he does the eight time car roll, which is like a Guinness World Record or something.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
then,
No, they did do a Guinness World Record in the movie.
yeah, which is impressive, by the way. I mean, all those things, the set pieces at the end of the film were great, but I had few issues with the way they presented the scenes, because you're seeing the. I'll give you two examples. Like the first was the car roll, which I thought such an impressive stunt, and great that they managed to get that and break a record. But I felt like a better director would have got a much better master shot of the whole thing happening, rather than to cut away when the roll was happening. Like we just want to see the roll in one shot happen like 8 times, right? Like let the thing roll over and let's just catch that whole thing as it happens. Let's not like cut away. And I think the similar thing happens like in the middle of the story where Ryan Gosling's character is is trying to save another character who's been taken hostage, and he and the dog Jean Claude are in pursuit.
Yeah, that dog was cool.
The dog was really cool. Special props to the dog. He was
the animal handler,
animal handler trainer. I don't know.
Yep.
They were excellent, and the dog was the dog with his French commands. So funny.
Yeah,
to
not
see.
German, it's French.
Yeah, French. But yeah, I guess like the thing with that scene was like I didn't like the fact that they kept cutting it from that stunt where they're like fighting and chasing those guys on the truck to Emily Blunt's character singing in the karaoke bar. I felt like there were it's like let us stay with the action. Let's not move away, and like let's not cut away. I just felt like there were simple things like that in the direction which perhaps could have worked better. But that being said, I thought the stunts were impressive, and especially when you see the credits and like the dedication and the effort that went behind in those stunts really makes you appreciate like what the film achieves. But
I like how on the technical aspect where they show you like not necessarily what is exactly happening, because that would be impossible, but what would be happening if they were showing you as they were making the movie, in the middle, watching Middle Storm being made, where you got to see the stunt performers working. I really like that, the technical aspects. Like I never understood what crazy stuff they have to do to make a movie, and now I do.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting, and the reason why I bring up the point on direction is because I remember seeing the stunt in the end where they were showing the credits of the boat, where the boat goes flying over and crashes in at the scene where he's trying to fake his death. And I just remember looking at that scene and thinking, wow, this doesn't look that crazy as it did when we saw it in the film earlier. And it made me think like sometimes, a lot of it has to be changed, whether it's effects. A lot of it has to be changed because maybe you take too many takes, or maybe because, it's overdone. So it's things like that that can completely change the way a scene can feel or look like. And I just thought like like how complicated it must have been to like stage all those scenes must be quite a feat, in my opinion. I don't know about you, but
Set up a bunch of explosives, get it to explode right.
Yeah, like the timing, the camera movement, all those
Stuntman
things.
driving the boat.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Uh, those are some cool things, but then there were some silly things as well. Like, I guess like like the crazy lady appearing out of nowhere when he's in Tom Ryder's apartment for the first time looking for him.
Oh yeah, his like girlfriend.
Girlfriend or
Yeah,
whatever.
his
I'm not
crazy
sure.
girlfriend with the samurai sword.
It made no sense. Like,
Yeah, no, it definitely didn't. No, it's really
like,
random.
it was random, and the music's playing. We don't know how to feel about this scene. There's DJ Khaled playing in the back, and then the next thing you see is this girl show up with like a samurai sword, start chopping things up. Only at the end to realize that it was a fake plastic sword.
It was a prop.
Yeah, it was a prop. But it makes you question, like, how did she then chop those things off if it was fake? So
maybe it's just fake enough.
I don't know. There were moments like that which were a bit silly, but overall, I thought Gosling's character really does a good job. I don't think it's as funny as the nice guys.
Nice guy. No.
I thought the nice guys, like, not just in terms of his performance, but also in terms of like story and believability. I felt like the nice guys was like
that was more grounded in reality for sure.
Marked in reality and a lot more effective with a lot less stunts. Like they had like a few shootouts and stuff, but it was nonetheless still like really funny. I guess my main point was like, if you had a better script, if you had maybe some of the stuff more refined, it would come across a lot better. And it doesn't necessarily need to be a lot of stunts, because like the repetition, I was quite intrigued and interested in the stunt where you see him catching on fire repeatedly. And I thought while it does come across as, again and again, and you're kind of looking at it and you're thinking, why are we seeing this over and over? But I kind of appreciate it, because if you look at like how stunts may be done, you got to keep doing it until you get it right. And sometimes these takes take forever.
Gets the right shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna keep getting hit by a car.
True. So
I guess one of the stuntmen said that was the one that hurt the most, getting hit by a car.
Oh, that looked totally real.
It looked real.
Yeah, that was that was funny. Yeah. That whole sequence where he gets drugged up, goes to the club, starts seeing the unicorn, so good.
There are entire movies that are made just in that style.
Yeah, totally. And I guess there were some cheesy moments, like the split screen scene.
Yeah, no, that was more hitting you over the head.
Yeah, I agree.
I have nitpicks in this movie, and that's really my main one. You just get hit over the head. You're telling the audience they're stupid, which the people that are probably watching this, they probably are. Let's not beat around the bush. They're the Transformers goers. They're the blockbuster movie people on the summer.
It does kick off the summer blockbuster season, so
right. And supposedly it didn't do as good as they wanted it to, but when are they ever
That's
happy?
The thing that gets me a bit confused, because quite often when a film doesn't do well, a lot of it revolves around the marketing of a film, right? Because publicity is everything. Getting a film out before it can get out, getting it into all sorts of promotional media is so crucial. And I don't think this is a badly marketed film. They did a really good job with the marketing, where they got them in all the talk shows. It had its world premiere in South by Southwest Film Festival, and they had like real stunt people from the film come in and give talks and Q&As and like special presentations. And yeah, I don't know. I guess like it's a shame that it didn't open up too well. I think domestically it opened up to like $28 million over the weekend.
And then
opening
compared
weekend
to Barbie and Oppenheimer, it's like
it does massively fall short. But then those films were, not only marketed well, but they were made by filmmakers who were deeply adored by the film community. So there were immense anticipation. But this one not doing that well, I'm afraid like the only thing I'm worried about is it does deserve to do well. And I do love the fact that it's an emphasis on stunt people and stunt work.
Right. Yeah, they don't
in
really
filmmaking.
get a lot of what do you call it?
Credit or
Commendation,
recognition.
recognition. That's really the word I'm looking for. Because you think of like all these crazy things that happen in action movies, and you're like, okay, well, nowadays in 2024, a lot of that's done with CGI because it's cheaper and nobody's in danger. But then when you think of these like 80s action movies, you think of Mad Max, and then you're like, oh, these people are really driving cars around and crashing into each other.
True. It's
You got balls of fire all over the place, all sorts of things. People get
so
killed.
many things. I mean, I keep looking at like, I really feel like the conversation about stunt people deserving more started off with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood back in 2019 when, Brad Pitt's character kind of
He's a stuntman.
is a stuntman, yeah, and he kind of, shows you like these guys are
Takes the
important.
shit out of Bruce Lee.
Yeah, like these guys are they're essential, right? They're essential to movie stars. They're essential to filmmaking. And then I do feel like the hype kind of died out with COVID because everything stopped. And then you had the John Wick film, John Wick 4, which was an incredible achievement. And I keep bringing that up as a comparison because if you look at the scenes and the stunt work in the John Wick films, a lot of it are shots that are, uncut,
one take, yeah,
extended one take shots or extended sequences where we're not interrupted. And that execution in that level was impressive. I feel like in comparison, the stunts in this film are still impressive, but I feel like the editing and the direction sometimes hampers the effect of how impressive it actually is with the amount of like coverage and cuts and like...
Right. No, I could definitely agree. I didn't really even think about that before going into this conversation. So yeah, I could definitely see that.
It's just something that came up to me while I was watching it because I felt like you've got all these scenes where he's, in pursuit or he's chasing or being chased, and you're always getting like all these unnecessary shots, or you're getting cut away to like other moments
where you
like
kill your entire like build up for the scene because you did a cutaway.
Yeah, stuff like that. I just thought like would have not happened if maybe I don't know. I want to put it down as like a directorial thing, but hey,
right.
It could be anything. It could be editing. It could be a lot of creative decisions. Could be studio, and that's what makes me wonder because if you look at Atomic Blonde, it's you can sense such a strong directorial style and essence, and then you look at this film and it just feels like it's a film about stunt people, but it's kind of made for the masses, so it needs to come and appeal to the broad sense and be like funny and have those moments of action and like tick the boxes of the general audience. And I'm not sure in that crossroads whether it works 100%. Like if you just want to look at it, yeah, if you want to just look at it objectively, but if you want to look at it from an entertaining point of view, this was some of the most fun and laughs I've had watching a film this year. Like the humor in this film was really, really good. So many scenes that I thought were funny. Moments like where, he sees the unicorn. I thought that was a good joke.
Right. That was good.
There's moments where there's that moment where he's confronted by Tom Ryder and he's like, glucose, you need glucose for your cognitive functions. Like you can't just eat like carbs. And
It's like
That
so
scene
random.
was so random. It was funny. There were like loads of the Taylor Swift moment was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was great. I
Where
did
she's
like
like,
the music a lot. So in these type of films, I pay attention a lot to the sound. So I thought a lot of the sound effects were very convincing, and the songs they used, well, they might not necessarily be exactly my cup of tea, but I did feel like they were effective. The use of that, I think it was a Kiss song that they kept playing over. It was like
yeah,
to
that was
like
my gripe.
really, yeah, that was your gripe.
Yeah, it was a gripe. I just felt like it was, you know what it made me think of? It made me think of another film that came out earlier this year called Argyle, starring Henry Cavill, and they had a similar thing where they had like this song that they kept rehashing and reusing throughout the film, throughout various moments, and I just couldn't help but think like they probably had to pay a lot of money to get the rights for this, and they needed to like
Get
they
their
were
money's
probably
worth.
exactly they were just like probably instructed to be like, make sure you use this everywhere and anywhere you can.
I can just be happy that it's not like if you ever seen the live action Disney Cruella. There's so many pop songs in that movie. I swear their budget was just pop songs. Like in the Cruella movie, they have like Queen. They have like a bunch of like 90s rock. They got a bunch of like all this popular stuff. You're like, hey, I like these songs, but I do not like them in this movie. Like, what are
Yeah,
they
I don't
doing?
know what it is. I think it's
Well,
do
it's
you
because they're
think like
trying to do like Guardians of the Galaxy, trying to like
hmm.
do 80s nostalgia, like an entire soundtrack of just like good music.
Yeah, that Guardians is a good example of but it's a good example of a film getting it right. With Guardians, it never felt like they were kind of playing on your heartstrings. It felt cohesive with the characters and the mood and the vibe. But yeah, like this example that you brought up with Cruella, I'm sure like a lot of films have got
I
onto
stopped
that
watching
trend.
it because of that. I
It's a
just
turn
dropped
off.
it. I love Emma Stone. Don't get me wrong. Like I love her in almost everything she's in, but I couldn't do it. These Disney live action movies are killing me.
Yeah, it's a shame. I don't know why they need to
And
resort to
then,
those.
well, they make money. That's why they're doing it.
Do they always though? Because
I think Lion King made $1 billion, and that was the most offensive of one of them for me, at least.
yeah, well, it's
They
a shame
like
what happens with Disney's route and going down that path of just rehashing, all the old classics
well,
into
when you
live
got these big
actions.
multi-million and billion-dollar corporations, they have to make their money back. They can't take a risk like the Fall Guy and not make their money back. They got to make Star Wars 15 Electric Boogaloo. You know, I think they're doing another Star Wars too.
It's a shame because if you look at the budget of the Fall Guys, I believe it's around $250 million. That's
Yeah,
quite
it's
expensive.
right.
That's kind of like a
Are you
Marvel.
including the budget, the marketing budget?
Probably not. I guess with marketing,
Because
it could
it's double,
easily be easily over
like half a
400,
million.
like 400, yeah, 3
Mhm.
400, I don't know. So in order to break even, maybe this film would need to earn more, like 500 million or something like that. I have no clue. Which sounds I don't know how realistic that looks at this moment. I mean, I'm actually curious to see how much the film's earned at this point of time. I think it's grossed just over 103 million, 103.7 million dollars on a reported budget of 125 to 150 million. So I'm guessing with marketing, it could be around 250 million. Which maybe is not that bad.
Right.
I mean, I could
They
see
could
this
break
film
even.
doing well.
Right.
It could break even. I could see this film picking up on in
Yeah.
international markets because
I think when it goes to Netflix or one of those streaming services, I think it'll do well there. I think
But
this is
you see,
definitely a.
but that's what I don't like. I genuinely feel like a film like this should not be struggling to recover on a streaming network. I feel like this is a type of film that should do well in cinemas. And it's a shame that it's quite clearly not hit probably the level they would have hoped it would have achieved with figures. But I think it's a well marketed film. It has a great team. It has great leads. Sure, the story is a bit daft at times.
That's a word for it.
But the humor is good. But I wanna talk about the supporting characters. I felt like I was disappointed with how underdeveloped they were, or how like surface level they were.
The Stephanie Hsu, I don't think they underused her big time. Yeah,
She was completely wasted.
yeah,
Completely wasted. I think she's in just that scene where she hands him the phone and then gets kidnapped.
right.
And
then gives him the dog or something because she's walking the dog.
she's walking Jean-Claude, and then she gets kidnapped, and then they have to go and rescue her. But beyond that, like, you just don't see anything else. That's about it. Like, once he saves her, that's it. Like, she just disappears. And then you've got yeah, you were saying.
I did like Aaron Taylor Johnson, Tom Ryder. I did like him. If I don't like your character because of how much of a schmuck you are, then you're doing a good job.
Yeah, I thought he was good. He was good.
Yeah,
he played that jackass.
Yeah,
Hollywood star.
the more over the
to
top,
me.
the better.
Yeah, I kind of got McConaughey. I got kind of McConaughey vibes from him.
Yeah.
The leather pants, shirtless for a jacket. Like, yeah, it was a complete overkill. But hey, it worked. I thought it was funny. But yeah, the whole mastermind behind this plot is Gail's, like, Hannah Waddingham's character. Well, what did you think of her? Did you feel
I liked her. Again, if I hate your character, you're doing a good job. Like, so have you ever seen Marriage Story?
I have, yeah.
Okay, so Marriage Story, there's a lawyer in there, and
Yes.
I can't remember the actress's name, but she's super famous. I hated her character. She did such a good job. I think it was Meryl Streep.
No, I think it might be Laura Dern, if I'm not
Laura
mistaken.
Dern, yeah. It was another blonde lady. And
Yeah.
I hate Laura Dern for what she did in Star Wars. So coming into this movie, I can't, like, deassociate those two things. So as she is such a bitch, I guess is the best word to put it, that if your character is that conniving and just, like, squirmy or just really easy to hate, you're doing a good job. The character is well written. Because I don't.
It was
your
effective.
character. Yeah, exactly.
It was
It's effective. It's practically twirly mustache villainy, but it was perfect. It's what the movie needed.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. It makes sense for her to be the big bad, because I would not believe if it was Tom Rider. I just don't think he's smart enough.
No, he's got like 5 brain cells. Which is kind of interesting in the way that they wrote this movie, because if they would have reversed the genders and made a woman stunt person and a male director, then this kind of would have went very like not Epstein. What's that pervy director guy that?
Woody Allen.
Okay, no, I don't know. You can name whoever you want.
Roman
Anyway,
Polanski? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good one. Roman Polanski. Yeah, creepy director guy creeping on some girl or something like that is the type. I'm glad that they didn't do that.
No.
The movie is kind of feminist if you think about it.
Yeah, because you got obviously Jodie's character played by Emily Blunt, who's the director. I guess the only thing that I couldn't perhaps make sense of is why she would ever want to direct something like Metal Storm.
Right. I think it was mostly because it was her big break.
It was a big break, or maybe she was
because Gail was really trying to give her big break, I guess, for her.
Because if you look at it, like, we see her as a camera operator in the first scene, and then the next thing you know, 18 months later, she's directing a multi-million movie and like studio blockbuster. So you're kind of like left thinking like, how does that happen so soon? You know?
Right.
But
Yeah, they probably should have timed it out more.
I guess so. Because usually time jumps are convenient, right? There's easy ways to get to the crux.
Just imagine the month that's 18 months of him just like being a valet. Like, so if this movie was an established franchise, this would be the third movie in the series. Because we would have done like 2 movies about him being a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Just be happy. The first movie would have been it would have been called like Valet Man or something silly. Yeah. And the second one would have been like chasing whatever her name is.
Yeah, I guess I want to talk
Jody.
about I want to talk about the main my other main gripe with the story in terms of the romance story, all right, the love story. I felt like they were doing their hardest to like keep them apart and intentionally, build the tension of
Yeah, I
them
feel
not
like
being able to have a moment together.
they gave Emily Blunt like the raw deal of the movie. She's not in a lot of this movie.
Nah.
Like they are completely separated. I agree.
For I would say like for 80% of the film.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even know she was in the movie half the time.
Yeah, and that's a shame because I feel like if her character was perhaps maybe better developed or better, I don't know. Maybe that's just my opinion. I don't know if you agree, but I felt like she could have had more to work with, and it's completely a case where an actor saves the role and elevates.
Yeah, it definitely could have been. They could have wrote the script in a way where she's just getting dragged along through the action, and then she could just be like the comedy relief, like what's going on, or something like that. Maybe I don't know.
Because if you look at, yeah, true. No, because if you look at the relationship, right, it's about him having this accident and then just disappearing. Right. There's like completely there's no explanation as to why he never reached out to her. And I think like the problem with the character, the main issue with Gosling's character is like he's having typical guy issues of not being able to like, I don't know, like deal with his emotions or come to terms with what he feels. And I think like the whole shtick of the stunt guy and the thumbs up really captures that. But I feel like there's only so much you can drag that to the point where, it's valid enough to have as a conflict between them for the whole movie. But I did relate to the point. I did relate to his moment in the boat where he kind of went like, I kind of let myself down. And I think that was a very powerful scene because I think a lot of people go through ups and downs, and him owning up to that fact was a great moment to see for the character.
And I did like his him getting the captured scene because it kind of feels like, okay, well, after you find out like he didn't actually mess up when he got hurt, and it was actually
the whole thing that it was
the Riddler, Tom Rider.
I didn't see that coming. I like that.
No, I didn't either. That hit me in the side of the head.
Yeah, because you kind of look at him and you're like, wow, like I feel for this guy, because and I love the fact that it's called the Fall Guy, because he's not just the fall guy because he falls down at the first scene.
He's the fall guy because
he's not just no. There's so many reasons.
Yeah,
obviously he's the fall guy because he's also taking the fall for a crime he didn't commit, but he's also a fall guy because he's falling for Emily Blunt's character. So I don't know.
I didn't think about that. That's kind of cute.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't intend to do that, but yeah, no, that makes sense.
But I like that. I like the wordplay of the title. I think it's smart and it works with the character. The fact that on a meta level, because the film is kind of meta with its approach. So I thought that was cute. That was nice. I liked it.
Yeah, that, like you were saying with the romance, the hitting over the head stuff, that's the parts that did not work for me. So if we had these characters, at least in the script, if they were they spent more time together, and they weren't over the head and they actually talked, then maybe we would feel more of that romance. Like I did think it was cute at the end where they finally get together. I was rolling. I was definitely going for it. I was all about it. I was like, oh, bitch. I was like, yeah. She finally got the guy, or he got the girl, or whatever. And I'm like, yeah.
I really like that scene where at the end where they're where they're where they're running around in the set and trying to get the data back. I like the scene where he's dangling off the crane.
The helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was awesome.
And he's like making plans with her, and he's like, "We should go for margaritas." And like,
yeah, call back to an earlier line in the movie. Yep.
Totally a callback, but that moments like that in the stunts were kind of more impressive and funny than some of the big stunts that they showed, which, like I said earlier, I felt were kind of hampered with the way they were presented. But
yeah, him jumping from one side of the helicopter to the other so he can swoop in and like kick him in the head. I'm gonna beat the shit out of him.
So that moment where he jumps and he catches on the chopper, I could totally see how like it looked a bit bad. I could see like they kind of hit the wires, and you could see an extra reach that helps him get to the chopper. But it's all right.
Gross in the story at that point. I couldn't even tell.
Okay, all right. Well, I guess it works. I guess it does work. But if I was nitpicking, I could see that. But
well, hey, we
just some inconsistencies.
We aren't that type of channel. We're not the Cinema Sins. Ding.
Those guys don't know how to have fun. Those guys. Imagine watching a movie with them in the room.
Oh, I'd beat the shit out of them. There's no way. I'm like, you can't nitpick the whole movie. It's
nah.
You're gonna ding 700 times, and I'm gonna want to slap the shit out of you.
Like I said, I mean, you can sort of accept the flaws of this film and just have a good time.
I would call this a popcorn movie for sure. It's something you just turn your brain off and enjoy.
Totally. It's a very good popcorn movie, and that's, I think we need some more refreshing, flicks like this to come out. I think I'm kind of sick of seeing, the same old stuff, which tries to cater hard to, yeah. I don't know. I feel like Hollywood would be better betting on films that are a bit more original, less reliant on corporate IP, and perhaps maybe even mid-budget films. They don't necessarily have to be. I think the problem with, and you can use this film as an example, because this could totally be a mid-budget film and work. And the example for that is The Nice Guys. The Nice Guys works. It's a great film. It has stunts. It's funny. And if you look at The Fall Guy and The Nice Guys, they kind of have a similar storyline of like a 70s type thing where like a movie star goes missing and, some guys brought in to investigate what's going on. Like you could totally see that. But I feel like the problem with The Fall Guy is that it works with a much bigger budget, which is like over 150 million. And that is the risk, because in comparison to a mid-budget film, which may not have that impressive stunts or level of effects, but would still be entertaining and great and would work narratively in the screen. And I think like perhaps like the state of the current scene with films, with so many action films having to have budgets like 200-300 million, and then having required to go earn like, I don't know, more than 600-700 million to be a success is kind of crazy to me.
Like it's a big gamble and it's not paying off. You can just see the whole the DC animated the DC universe right now with Black Adam and all these movies that aren't pulling in $1 billion. You're taking big
Yeah.
risks on IPs you think they're gonna work, but they're not working anymore. Even the
They're not.
MCU, you can see where it's gone.
Yeah, it's stagnated. It's
We're
people.
not
I guess
making them.
people realize people are not stupid. They know, they're not gonna fall for the same old shtick again and again and again. And I think, like in my opinion, like I understand like a lot of films need to be made and spoon feed the audience because
Right.
you want to like reach to as many as you can.
Get that
But for me-
PG-13 rating.
Totally make those extra bucks, but films for me that like recognize that their audience is intelligent and they trust the fact that they'll pick up those subtle details and plot hints are the ones that work for me. I don't know if that's the direction right now, whether films just going to be spoon feeding you throughout, but it would be much nicer to see films that have that allow you to sort of pick things up and decipher stuff for yourself and trust the audience to get it. So yeah, I mean it's a shame because again the reason why I bring The Nice Guys is it's not like The Nice Guys was a hit. I mean there was an interview that Gosling did while promoting The Fall Guy where they asked him, is there any possibility The Nice Guys could get a sequel? And he said, we got killed off by Angry Birds in the opening weekend. Like Angry Birds got a sequel.
And nobody remembers the Angry Birds movie, that's for sure.
Well, I don't.
I never saw it, so I can't remember something I never saw.
I did see it. I did see the first. I didn't see the sequel.
Why would you see that?
I don't remember, but I do remember watching the first one. But I don't remember the sequel. But that being said, that proves the point where like so much of a film's success is just revolved heavily around an opening weekend where you're kind of left to be seen as a failure if you don't hit those figures on the weekend. And I think that's a shame because I don't think The Fall Guy deserves to be a box office failure. I
To
think
be
it should...
the Fall Guy? Yeah, no, I agree. No, the Fall Guy, it definitely was a good munchy popcorn movie. I'm not looking for the deepest script. I'm not looking for any of that. I just want to have a good time. And I did have a good time. I personally don't really go to the theater that often unless it's an anime movie or something I really want to go see or I'm getting dragged to. So now that I saw this movie, The Fall Guy, in the theater, I paid $650 to see this movie, and I felt like I got $650 or more in value.
Worth the price of admission.
Yep, we're definitely, absolutely. You can buy Dune 2 on on Prime or whatever for $20. Now that might be a good film, but is it worth $20 to watch it once? Probably not.
Yeah, you're right. So much of it comes down to the situation of how films are priced. So in this case, it's totally worth it. The experience of watching it in a cinema, especially this film, wouldn't you agree? Would you have had the same? Would you have had the same impact if you had to see this for the first time at home, in comparison?
Probably not. No. Just hearing all the sounds and stuff like that. I don't have a really good. My home studio sound system is headphones, so I would not have the same enjoyment watching this movie just on my phone or whatever. I definitely would have. Definitely feel like I enjoy this better in the theater, just because you get all that ambiance, all the sound. You get all the visuals of these crazy stunts being performed, and then you get your 50,000 gallon jug of popcorn and eat really loudly next to somebody while they're coughing, and then you hear a baby crying. It's perfect. I love it.
Well, that's why we go see films during the most oddest times, so that you're not disturbed. I watched it. Like I said, I watched it midweek. Great moment, great time. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Like 3-4 other people in my theater, and that's why I was kind of curious because obviously you're based in the States, so I wanted to know like what the scene was there.
So I
But
picked a seat in the back because I didn't want to be a jerk. Because for the first time in a movie theater, I was deciding I'm going to take notes because I might just enjoy this movie and just not remember any of the stuff that I want to talk about. So I did do that. And the funny thing is, the other two people that were in that theater were like 2 seats over. So they probably saw me taking notes like a crazy person. And they seemed to enjoy the movie just like I did. So it was a couple. I was their third wheel, I guess. It was a good time.
that's good to hear. So, did you have any other notes that you want to talk about that you may have not picked up?
I don't believe so. A lot of scribble scrabbles, liking the humor. Metaphor was silly. No, I felt like that. So you know how Marvel movies love to put extra credit stings at the end of every movie?
Yeah.
Well, this movie has an extra credit sting, which I kind of felt was tacked on. I did like it, but I did feel like it was tacked on. I didn't necessarily need that. I felt like the movie ended where it needed to end. I did not need the bad guys getting arrested. I thought that was a little over the top silly. I didn't need it.
Yeah, and the whole Jason Momoa
yeah,
cameo.
yeah. That was awesome. I loved it.
Did you like that?
I like that a lot. I have said multiple times, I'm a heterosexual male, but I do find Jason Momoa pleasing on the eyes. So I like him in everything. I think he's just enjoying himself, having a good time. Like I think he feels the same way in Aquaman. Like he's just having a good. Exactly. He's a biker guy with a really cool beard, and he is just there to have fun, and that's all I wanted.
I found it funny because throughout the film, there's that Dune ripoff of like Hans Zimmer's theme of the lady singing whatever it is, and that keeps playing throughout. And then you see Jason Momoa pop up, and he's in the first Dune.
Yeah,
so that was just a really like full circle moment.
No, that cast is crazy. It has so many star-studded. It's insane. It's like who isn't
and
in that movie?
Aaron Taylor Johnson as well. I know. Like he's kind of one note bad guy, but like, he kind of plays roles like these really well. And I guess the only thing I didn't perhaps get was like, yeah, he's kind of a dickhead throughout the film, and then there's that scene at the end where he's like, "But he's the best stuntman I've ever had."
Yeah, that was silly. It was very eye-rolly. I was like, "Whoa, why would I thought
where's this coming from?"
I thought this whole movie you wanted to kill him, like you wanted him to be your fall guy. You can't be your fall guy if he's alive. Shaking my head
again, but those are just me nitpicking moments.
Yeah.
Again,
no, that was silly. I agree.
You do agree, all right?
I agree that was silly. That it didn't need to be in the movie. It made no sense plot wise.
It didn't. But hey, apart from that, I had a good time. I enjoyed it, and I hope it continues the conversation for stunt people in films and in TV. And I hope they do. Get some recognition. In fact, I do want to highlight that scene earlier on in the film where Gosling goes to the club, talks to the drug dealer. The guy's like, "Oh, you're in the movies. You do stunts. Like you guys get Oscars, right?" And he just looks at them blank face, and he's like, "No Oscars for us." I thought like, it was a good moment. Like it really got the point across, and they really made an effort to highlight that throughout the film.
Well, like the Oscars are a joke. Whatever they used to be, they're just funny now. You'll see the same 4 movies win everything. You'll see one movie win almost everything. And it'll be not a surprise to anybody because that was the popular movie that year. That also happened to be a little artsy.
I guess so. I guess there's certain, there's certain checklists that the Academy adhere to.
When they
And
did
every year,
that, they had that one category that one year where it was like most popular action movie or something. They said did something like that, but that was so weird, and like it kind of felt like, okay, you guys are trying to cater to an audience that does not care about the Oscars. So what are you even doing?
so true. What wasn't that? Didn't they give it to a Marvel movie that year?
Yeah, I
Or
think
was
it was like
this?
Wakanda Forever or Black Panther or something. It was like such a weird,
Ah,
like a
yes.
word.
Did they keep that on, or was that
No,
just
no, they
a
got rid of
one
it the next
year?
year. I'm pretty sure.
Wow, that's cheap, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it definitely is. No, there are some categories that probably best stunt that could easily fit in there, and they could. So they have like best adapted screenplay, best original screenplay. Like, why do you have like three different screenplay ones when you don't have a stunt one? Just like what?
Yeah, it is shocking to me. I really feel like if this film doesn't help continue the conversation, I don't know what else needs to be done. Like
Another
what could
sequel
they
of this movie. He's following Tom Ryder while he's running away from the cops because he somehow
The
survived
Fall Guy
explosions. Yep, Fall Guy
Part
2,
2
Electric Boogaloo.
featuring Metal Storm Part 2.
Oh, yep. We just get the whole Metal Storm movie. That'd be
Could
awesome.
you imagine they do like a Tropic Thunder and just like go down that route?
Oh, never
completely.
go full R word. Or have
Could
Robert
you,
Downey Jr. show
I
up.
still think the Tropic Thunder is perhaps one of the most incredible achievements in film in recent memory. I don't think they can ever get something like that
No, they
ever
can't.
again.
They can't because it was the perfect storm. So you get everybody upset about somebody playing a special needs person, so that the
Yeah.
white guy can be in blackface,
Yeah.
and then he'll say the R word too. It'll be great.
Yeah, oh man. That just set the bar so high.
Yeah, we're never getting back there. Iron Man said the R word in a movie.
And for him to be for Robert Downey to get the nomination as well for best supporting actor that year. I mean, obviously he wasn't going to win because he was up against Heath Ledger, who
right.
won it posthumously, but that was crazy. Me myself, like I think I was probably a kid back then, but like
Right.
I was shocked. Like, wow, like this guy got nominated for this role. Like I couldn't believe it. Like they'd go down that route. I can't see, that's like asking Deadpool to get best actor. I mean best Ryan Reynolds to get best actor for Deadpool.
Well, the
Like a
Marvel
nom.
fanboys would want that. It'd be perfect.
They probably would, to be
Dude,
fair.
cream in their pants just thinking about it. Although I am also one of those fanboys, so I am gonna enjoy that Wolverine Deadpool movie, even if it's not good.
I'm sure as long as the original creative team behind the Deadpool series get their say and way, I'm sure they'll still be able to stay well. And as long as they don't get a PG-13.
Oh no, I think they already said it was R. So they
That's
they
good
even
to
made
know.
a joke about it. I think during the movie, so during the trailer. So
I haven't seen the trailer, so I don't want to see the trailer. I think I'd rather just wait.
don't get
Yep.
spoiled.
I think it changed my life in a way, not seeing trailers. I do see trailers of like some movies if I'm
Right.
feeling it. Like if there's, obviously.
Well, they're going to show you the
something
best parts of the movie. It's going to spoil the whole thing.
Exactly, and I don't know if trailers really do the job these days.
Nope.
I'm not sure. They're. A trailer shouldn't ruin the film, and I think I look at like the Mission Impossible films, and they're a good achievement because they always use a stunt in the film that is like the talking point that gets people. Tom Cruise does, and it gets people talking, and that's what's like shown, and they never like give away anything about the plot, and I think that's an effective way to do it. And I have a lot of respect for Tom Cruise as like a person in Hollywood who's like dedicated his whole career to like acting, producing, stunt work, doing his own stunts. I think that's, it's crazy. And I think this whole perception of like the movie stars are dead and all of that. If you see films like the Mission Impossible films, the John Wick films, the Fall Guy,
Keanu Reeves isn't going anywhere.
Exactly, it couldn't be more further away from the truth. All right, these guys still exist. They still have the charm and the charisma to pull and carry a film. And the Fall Guy is another example. I think Ryan Gosling totally does it. I just hope like he doesn't. Obviously, I still want to see him do like more darker and grittier roles. I hope he doesn't completely shy away from doing these roles. I know he's
typecasted as Action Man.
I hope not, because I know he's at a phase of his career now where he's obviously. I think he gave an interview where he said that he's a lot more conscious about taking darker roles just because he has a family now and they think about it, collectively and stuff like that. Because I do feel like, the stuff he's done is incredible. Like if you look at his portfolio, the range he's shown and the roles he takes is really good. So I hope he has his moment. I hope he has his moment as a, action star in a big blockbuster. But I also hope he goes and continues to challenge himself and do like, different roles that still hopefully get him more recognition.
Yeah, get him a couple Oscar noms. He could be like Leonardo DiCaprio and finally get an Oscar.
He can't be as bad as Bradley Cooper, don't you think? Who's like literally every film he makes is kind of
he's always
Oscar bait.
Just rocking in every move, just a different. He has a different outfit on.
Nah, it's not like that. I mean, if you've seen the films he's directed now, you could sense. Yeah, directed and starred in, right? Okay. The Star is Born, Maestro. They're quite heavy reaching for awards attention.
Yeah, so. Didn't Lady Gaga win 3 awards because of My Star is Born, in the same year?
For Star is Born, yeah, I think she
won
did.
a bunch of stuff. That was kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was.
She's gonna be Harley Quinn. Are you excited for that?
I am, yeah. I look forward to it. Although I feel like, I do feel like Margot Robbie did a great job.
Margot Robbie,
and it's a shame.
Is the
definitive.
Yeah,
she's
sure.
the definitive, and I really hope that it's not the end of the road for her in that role, because it's a shame that the DC universe sucked and just didn't give her,
Just give James Gunn another Suicide Squad movie. I'll watch it.
Yeah, I think he's done with that now, but who knows? Never say never. Could maybe come back and do it, but he's busy with Superman and DC, head of DC, and he's currently I think he's finished writing the Peacemaker season 2, which is also pretty good.
First season was pretty good.
The first season was pretty good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's give a rating. Are you ready for that?
Sure.
Let's
do it.
You want me to go first? Or do you want to go first?
Why didn't you go first? Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So popcorn movie. There were times in this movie where I would give it a flat out 10. But then the script little trip probably give it a good 7 out of 10. There were very little things that made this movie miserable for me. I didn't feel the time. A lot of the pacing, for the most part, other than starting in that beginning for me, I felt like the pacing was pretty good. And the ending felt like it was earned. That's one thing a lot of movies do bad. Is just do a Garbo ending or do a Spider-Man animated movie that left me hanging. Yeah, I liked that this was a rom-com hiding in an action movie. I liked that. I felt like the stunts were neat. I liked a lot of the movie. What would you say?
I agree. I couldn't concur more with your rating. I would also give it a 7 out of 10. And I think the thing that does it for me, it really is Ryan Gosling. I think he carries this film. And without his persona, without his charm, this simply wouldn't be the film that it is. I think he's really funny. He plays a hero you really want to root for. And I think I appreciate the whole effort to bring more attention to stunt work and people working as stunt workers in Hollywood. I love the rom-com aspect of it. Maybe I think the film suffers from perhaps a better a script that could have been better written and refined, and maybe supporting characters that could be perhaps more developed to I don't know, make the story beats click. But I can overlook some of the flaws that it has in terms of silliness and goofiness, even though some of the jokes are kind of rehashed a bit. But hey, I had a really good time. I enjoyed it. It's a perfect popcorn film. I would totally go see it again if I did have the time for it. And I just enjoyed it. I just feel like we need to see more films that are, entertaining, that are new, original, and inspired by stories that are not necessarily corporate IP. And I totally recommend this film. You'll have a good 2 hours of your time. You'll enjoy, and it's not a film that will maybe stay with you, but hey, that's fine. It's good. It's a good film to consume and escape for 2 hours, and it's got great performances, some good stunt work, and some good fun. That's what I've got to say.
All right, couldn't have said it better myself. I agree with a lot of those opinions. It's a good movie. All right, so on to better things. On to other things. For our next recommendation, we already previously talked this out, so I'm not going to blindside you. I would like to have a discussion about Cyberpunk Edgerunners. Have you played Cyberpunk 2077? Yeah, 2077?
I did not. I wanted to, but they never gave me the opportunity to. They took it out.
Oh, okay.
I blame the guys who made the game. They never let me have my fun.
Okay. All right. I bought it on GOG when the game came out. I got hoodwinked for sure. But they did enough patching in the game. It's functional. It's awesome. There's a DLC that came out. It has Idris Elba in it. Awesome. So this anime takes place in this universe. It was made by Studio Trigger, which is famous for animes like Kill la Kill, Little Witch Academia. It takes place in cyberpunk, so it's in kind of like a Blade Runner type time. It's a Netflix anime, so watch it however you watch it. If you don't want to be spoiled for Cyberpunk Edgerunners, make sure you watch it in the next 2 weeks before this next one airs. Anything else to say, Adi?
I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it. Sounds interesting.
I won't spoil anything for you. There's a lot of... I feel like this would be a really good discussion. There's a lot to talk about.
Amazing. Well, we'll see you then.
All right. We'll see you then. Ciao.